No, it's a big deal when one of your drivers decides to do their own thing. So I called him out on it at the next team meeting.
And what was Devon's reaction?
Well, he denied the whole thing. Blamed it on a comms fail.
Which I thought was strange. The same thing happened the year before when I was principal, and he gave the exact same excuse.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my F123 Breaking Point 2 series for chapters 9 and 10. So let's get straight into it. With two races in as many years now impacted by communication issues involving Devon, Connor Sport management have started to ask questions. As the grid heads to Imola, Casper looks for clarity from his driver.
Yeah?
You wanted to see me?
There he is. You're a difficult man to pin down. Right, I'll cut right to the chase, Devon. Tell me what's happening.
What are you talking about?
Well, it's not just disregarding team orders. Paddock talks. People are saying you've been distracted, that you're ignoring them completely. Now, my job is to make sure the team works smoothly, like clockwork, so I'm just trying to work out what's going on.
I told you, check the comms.
Yeah, the comms are fine, Devon. We checked. What's going on?
Nothing.
Just cut that out. Show me some respect now.
Okay. I heard the order. All right? You happy?
Why ignore it?
I'm feeling it, Cass. The pressure. Paddock gossip these last couple of months.
Oh, come on. You're Devon Butler. You are the paddock gossip.
You've heard what they're saying, right? You've seen what they're writing. Driving on Daddy's money. It's making me second guess myself.
Okay. We can work through that. Start changing the team narrative.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, I'd like you to see someone from the medical team. Just to be sure. I've booked you in for this afternoon.
No, Cass. Look, I've got a race to prep for, okay? I need my head in the game. I'm fine.
I get that. That's fine. But I want you to see them straight after the race. Understood?
Yeah. Fine.
He's definitely not going to that appointment. But anyway, there you go. Devon Butler is a real person after all. Who knew? Anyway, what's in the news these days? A family affair, of course, referring to the Butlers at Connor Sport. Let's see. It mentions Casper Ackerman potentially not being able to do his job properly due to Davidoff's involvement, but we haven't seen too much from him in the recent past, but we'll see. Hayden Jackson's humble beginnings at Connor Sport's Melbourne mishap, the home of Ferrari, Imola's heritage. Okay, nothing terribly exciting there. Socials, there's never anything too interesting before the races. Looking at emails now. Alyssa Lang from Connor Sport Media Relations wants Devon to come to an interview for his story spinning skills, so we can make all of Connor Sport's problems go away after what happened in Melbourne. Casper Ackerman says thanks for the chat, confirmation of the medical checkup, and finally the preview for the weekend, namely the weather forecast, which is dry, so we don't need to worry about that. So on to the race itself, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Feeling the pressure mount, Devon hopes a strong performance will divert the team's attention from any concerns about his health.
Devon, is everything all right?
Fine.
fine. Just leave me to it, yeah?
Oh, I don't know if everything's fine, Devon. Currently, the only objective we have is to finish the race. No bonus objective at all. And I think the last time we saw that was race 1 of
And that's 8 laps to go.
the entire Breaking Points series. 8 laps to go in the race. And yeah, signs are not looking good. For the first time, I actually very much sympathise with Devon Butler here. This is not my track at all. I'm not a fan of Imola. There's a reason it never appears in any of my career modes, because I just do not click with this circuit at all. I drove it once when they first added the circuit to the game, and that was enough for me. I didn't particularly enjoy it, but anyway, yeah, it's definitely a tricky one. So we'll just hold on to as many positions as we can and see what we can do.
Okay, so the gap to the car behind is 4.4 seconds.
And as we continue on through the race, it was a very boring race. Absolutely nothing happened.
And that's just 5 laps of fuel remaining. Devon, do you listen?
Devon Butler now. Oh, that's not good! Oh no! Devon Butler spins! He's out!
Oh, he just misjudges it and clips the curb. What a mess!
Devon Butler, with that move, is out of the race. He won't want to see that too many times. We want to see him out of the car, though. That's good news.
Big relief there, although he does still look a bit unsteady on his feet, Crofty.
Well, thumbs up to the crowd, but I'd imagine after that, he'll be quite shaken.
Hey.
I'm done, Casper. I'm done.
It's okay. It's okay. It was his hearing. He'd been keeping it from us. I think maybe he'd been trying to keep it from himself. I mean, he was at the height of his career. Yeah, what can you say?
How did you feel?
I was devastated. But 5 years in F1. Can't argue with that. I mean, most people never even get the chance, so. 1 in 6. 1 in 6 makes the leap to F1. The other 5 are still watching their less talented teammates collect all their points. Shame, really. A lot of great drivers never get their chance because they do it all for the team.
Those teams got us here.
And I was still one of the best while I was out there. You ask anyone.
How did you feel when Devon left?
How did I feel?
I just had to put in that little clip from F1 2019. Normally I don't like to interrupt the cutscenes, but anyway, I just felt like that was an obvious reference, or probably an intentional reference by the developers there, back to F1 2019, by Devon Butler there. But anyway, with Devon's sudden retirement, the team at Connosport are forced to scramble in an attempt to find a driver who can replace his performance on track. I think I can think of someone, but anyway, we're heading to the Butler estate apparently, several weeks later.
But if we are going to hit our targets, we need another driver. A permanent one. And fast.
But we are mid-season. It's impossible.
So, given the circumstances, do you think you can grant us a bit of leeway on the contract?
I have the projections. If Connorsport doesn't reach 5th place in the Constructors this season, the returns simply aren't worth my time. That was always the deal. And it still is.
But with a little extra time, perhaps we...
Stop! The deal stands. And without Devon driving, there's now little of interest for me beyond the contract. It's just business.
There must be something we can do.
So, legacy is obviously important to you, Davidov. As a father, I totally get that. So if Devon, your son, can't drive, how about your daughter? Why don't we give the seat to Callie?
No. California will not be signed to Connorsport.
Why not? Just think of the commercial opportunities for the team that signs her, Forget legacy. Oh, you'd be making history.
And you'll be giving a phenomenal talent her first break into F1. It's the right thing to do. You know she deserves it.
The daughter, who took her mother's name to spite me. Nah, she'll never say yes.
Why don't you leave that to me?
Contract still stands, Ackerman. 5th place, or I'm out next season.
One problem at a time, eh?
Interesting. So Callie Mayer may be coming to Connorsports very soon. I mean, we kind of knew this was going to happen because obviously she was introduced in the Formula 2 season in the first half of the story, so we all knew she was going to come back at some point. That's just how stories work. But anyway, there is the confirmation, I suppose. But anyway, Chapter 10. The F1 calendar waits for no one. While Casper and Andreo work to secure a permanent replacement for Devon, the team must turn its attention to the Spanish Grand Prix. Alrighty, so now we are Casper Ackerman, and all this time we have these things popping up, a decrease in performance and reputation after the Imola incident, an increase for racing etiquette, but I haven't been paying attention to those in the past, so I don't really know what affects those. But anyway, phone call.
Andreo.
Have you spoken to her yet?
Yes, we've spoken.
And what did you say?
She'll be around this weekend. She agreed to come and see me.
You mean you haven't asked her yet?
Of course not. It's a delicate situation. I'm sure she has an idea, but look, it's not just something you casually ask over the phone, is it?
Why not?
Come on. This is potentially life-changing for her. And the whole family situation needs to be handled with a little, care and respect.
Well, you're the one that knows her. Just make sure she says yes and fast. I'm finding it difficult to keep fielding questions about the future of Connorsport.
Yeah, I read part of that interview. Could almost feel you squirm.
That bad, huh?
Worse. Look, I'll call you as soon as I know.
And as often happens, the phone gets absolutely destroyed as it goes off the screen. But anyway, what really happened to Devon? He crashed. That's what happened. Trackside chats. We don't have time for chats. But I guess that's probably what Andreo was referring to. Yeah, mid-season driver swaps. Well, yeah, that's what Connorsport will be needing. I'm not going to bother with socials pre-race as always. But anyway, email from Callie Mayer. I'll head on over. And it seems like she's already suspicious that Casper Ackerman's up to something because he wouldn't talk on the phone. Alright, this one might be important. So we need to remember this messaging that apparently they've been discussing. Devon's got a medical condition. It's up to him whether he wants to talk about it, and we need to hold off on any talk of a replacement for another week if we can. So let's try to remember that, probably for the whole team. And confirmation from Zoe that Callie does indeed suspect we will offer her the seat at Connosport. This is a confusing world. And with all of that out the way, I think it's time we move on to the race. Racing with the team's reserve driver, Connosport look to Aiden Jackson to help keep them afloat in the standings while a more permanent replacement for Devon is arranged.
It's race day here at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Track that's certainly seen a fair share of electrifying races over the past few years. And there are no doubts that today's race will be just as brilliant. It's an updated track at Catalunya, and we welcome the removal of the chicane in the final sector, shortening lap times and reducing the total running to 2.9 miles and 14 turns. This was actually the original setup for the track, but it hasn't been used since 2007. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Sergio Perez, who lines up P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Hamilton, Gasly, Sainz, Oscar Piastri, Fernando Alonso, Tsunoda, Joe, Sargent, Bottas, Jackson, Magnussen, Ocon, Hulkenberg, De Vries, Stroll, Albon, and Noah Bell. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Welcome to the wonderful Catalunya. It's time for the Spanish Grand Prix this weekend, and whilst the season is just a few races old, it's already been one full of drama. So, Natalie Pinkham, who have you got your eye on this weekend?
Well, in Formula One, naturally, the conversation is drawn towards those at the top of the standings, both drivers and teams. But I'm really intrigued by the midfield team of Connosport. Devon Butler's absence will definitely be felt. There's no doubt about that, both on and off the track. For me, the interesting thing will be how they move forward without him.
Indeed, almost as many battles off the track as there are on it for Connosport at the moment. And Casper Ackermann and his team certainly have their work cut out for them this weekend.
I know it's been a mad few weeks, mate, but you've always gone well here, so let's get your head down and see what we can do. Come on.
Alrighty then, here we are. Ready for the Spanish Grand Prix. We have our temporary new teammate, Noah Bell, starting off the back of the grid. Not terribly far behind us. We're starting P15 for this one. Not sure what the objective is for this one. We haven't been given that yet. Presumably we need to finish up in the points. But yeah, the strategy will be soft tyres to the mediums. Presumably we just have to complete this entire race. But yeah, let's get into it. I've dropped the difficulty to normal for this one. Because this is Catalunya, not one of my strong circuits. The objective is to try and score as many points as possible. The bonus objective is to beat the home favourites Fernando Alonso and Carlos Sainz. So we'll see if we can do that as well as we head to the 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. It's a great launch off the grid for us, as we narrowly escape to the left hand side there before we plough into the car in front, and we just about found some space there, although into the turn 1, bit of contact, and we run into the back of I think that was Yuki Tsunoda, and now a big running wide moment there through turn 3, and we lose a couple of spots and we move ourselves down a few positions there, actually below where we started, down into P16, so not a great start for us in this race. So we need to try and gather our thoughts and yeah, just recollect ourselves and try and just move ourselves forward again. Basically, is yeah, we're really not in a rhythm yet. In that off-board shot, it looked like our teammate made a good start, gained a spot, so that is good. And hopefully he can continue to do so and perhaps score something for himself in this race. but Noah Bell, our new teammate, starting off at the back of the grid, has moved himself up, I believe, into 21st from that brief off-board shot. But anyway, we continue to move ourselves through the field, down the inside, no way to get through there. And we are going to stay in 13th place. We've been passing cars left, right and centre throughout the second half of this first lap. We've started to get our act together and get into a rhythm once again. Already we've had more action in this race than the entirety of the first one, where literally nothing happened at Imola. Late on the brakes there in defence, and we end up just clipping the back of Yuki Tsunoda once again, but no damage done, as we were hard on the defence from Valtteri Bottas. We're still pushing Yuki Tsunoda through on the exit there of turn 3, but we eventually get the move done on the Japanese driver, and now we go for the move down the inside of Oscar Piastri. Job done. Next up, Zhou Guanyu, and we make the move on the Chinese driver, and that's the another overtake done up into 10th position now, so making very good progress through the field. Next up is Pierre Gasly in the Alpine. We'll see if we can make the move down into the final sector. Super late on the brakes there, a little bit too late, but we'll get the move done regardless and move ourselves ahead of Pierre Gasly.
That's P9, 9th place, well done.
That's 9th place for us. Next up is Fernando Alonso. We'll make the move down the inside into turn 1. He gives us a bit of a squeeze, but we'll get the move done down the inside regardless. A little bit deep into turn 1 as well. Run ourselves wide through turn 2, and Fernando Alonso gets a spot back. We'll run ourselves back around the outside of turn 3, though, get the move done around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Lando Norris throws the block, but we'll go down the inside of Lando Norris, and a bit of a slide all the way through turn 4, but we get the job done on Lando Norris. Next up is Carlos Sainz. We'll go for the lunge down the inside. Bit of an unorthodox place to go for the move there, even on a low difficulty, but we get the job done on Carlos Sainz anyway, and move ourselves yet another position up towards the front of the field into P6. Now P5 as we overtake the other Ferrari man of Charles Leclerc, and we've now got Lewis Hamilton up the road, so we still scrap away side by side with Charles Leclerc, and we'll eventually get the move done down the inside into the first corner. But 3 cars now in close proximity in front of us, and we tried to get a nice switch back there. That didn't really work for us though. We approached the train of cars far too quickly, and didn't quite time that one to perfection. But anyway, we make the move all the way around the outside of Lewis Hamilton, and we get the job done at turn 4, and that moves us up. And a bit of contact there, we get spun around, a bit of bulldozer action from Lewis Hamilton there as he continued ploughing into us, and a collision warning there, but we managed to recover it, and we'll keep pushing on in this race.
Still looking good.
No damage done to the car. I believe all the damage settings are basically on the minimum, so it is still possible to damage the car, but it's quite difficult to do so. Thankfully that's not going to be a major concern for us, and we got away with that unscathed as we continue to push on. More contact into the wall, and that was a much bigger hit, and if we get away with that one, I'll be very surprised. Right after pit entry too, so we couldn't even pit it for a new front wing.
Everything's looking good.
And somehow we get away with no damage once again. We're lucky to still be in the race after that one, even on reduced damage. That is a miracle we got away with that one unscathed. That is crazy. But anyway, we continue to push on then in this race, and we now have dropped ourselves a lot of positions with that spin into the wall.
Okay, you're in the top 10.
And we make the move down the inside and move ourselves up into 9th position once again, ahead of Oscar Piastri. So starting to forge our way forwards in this race once again. Next up, Pierre Gasly, and we will make the move around the outside. Actually, Gasly's made another spot in that time as we caught up to him, as Gasly made the move on Fernando Alonso.
2.5 seconds.
We'll grab both of them though, and move ourselves up those 2 spots in the one corner. We continue to push on. Carlos Sainz is up next as he is chasing down his Ferrari teammate. And Lando Norris splitting the pair of them at the moment as we go down the inside of both Norris and Sainz, down the inside, and we get the move done on Lando Norris as well. And that is a bit of a shortcut there for us, but we got the move done, and that moves us up once again into P5. So decent progress through the race, and now back into 4th position. So we've finally recovered ourselves roughly to where we were before everything went south a number of laps ago. So we've got George Russell up next, but it's actually time for us to make our pit stop in this race. So we're going to do so now, and we're actually going to get a bit of an undercut on George Russell. A few others in pits on this lap. Max Verstappen, the key one, because he is ahead of us on track. But anyway, we will try and time this right. We get the optimal timing. That's quite an easy one to do. And
okay, off we go, back into the race. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one. Pit strategy complete. See these tyres through to the end now.
And we hopefully should gain some time on Verstappen out of that, though it is quite difficult to beat Red Bull in the pit lane, no matter what you do. But anyway, we get a good stop from the Connosport crew, and we will go chasing after Max Verstappen. Already we're gaining chunks of time through the first sector. Now through the middle sector, we are absolutely hauling in the margin onto the middle sort of half of the lap now, and we will make the move down the inside of Max Verstappen very easily there, and that is job done. And that is, I think, the effective lead of the race for us now. Once everyone else makes their pit stops, that will be the race lead. All the cars in front of us are yet to stop, so we will grab the race lead once that happens. We go around the outside of Oscar Piastri, who's yet to stop in this race, and everyone in front of us now, I believe, making a pit stop on this lap, which should reveal us as the race leader, as everyone does so. And there you go, we now take the race lead. So that's all worked out well for us. Meanwhile, our teammate Noah Bell comes in for his stop, and he's had a okay race so far. I think he runs P20 at the moment. He's made his way past Logan Sargent and Alex Albon so far, and has Nick De Vries up the road. So that's how his race is playing out at the moment. So yeah, not a great run, but he's in amongst other cars, so that's something. The Kiwi driver Noah Bell is in amongst the action, so that's something, but certainly nowhere near the points. But anyway, we will check in on him at some point, see what his pace is like. Here he is, just as we speak, and he's actually putting the pressure on Nick De Vries here, and going to go for the move to the outside. Can he make the move stick on Nick De Vries down into the first corner? They're side by side, equal as they enter the corner, but Nick De Vries will maintain the position as we go on board with us. You can see the margin back to Max Verstappen in second. We have absolutely hauled away from him, and yeah, there's no competition for us in this race. We are absolutely flying. So yeah, we've basically got this one under control. Meanwhile, Noah Bell is going again on Nick De Vries. This time got the job done much earlier on the straight, and has cleared Nick De Vries and moved himself up into P19. Great job, Noah Bell, and that's a job well done for him in that overtake. So that's probably the most he can achieve. I think the next car's a fair way up the road. We'll cross the line though and take a very nice race win.
So it's Aiden Jackson propping up Connosport here today, but the big news off the track is the speculation about this team and whether or not they'll see out the season with their current lineup.
Well, I think they'll have to sign a new driver, Crofty. It's a gamble worth taking.
Well, a mid-season signing would get us all talking, I'm sure, but time will tell. Here comes your top three making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula One.
Well, Connor Sport are in a bit of an odd situation right now. So just tell me, what is it like for you today?
So for this first question, I thought I'd go with a more sensitive option, I suppose, and say it's pretty strange, but you do what you can.
Yeah, not so long ago my teammate was Devon, and we had a plan sorted out for the rest of the season. Now it's Noah, and for the last couple of races, suddenly nobody's quite sure what the situation is. I've never had to drive in this situation before, so it's all pretty strange, but you do what you can.
Most importantly, how is Devon? And how are you finding it without your teammate?
And same story with this one. As much as I thought it might be funny to go with one of the cheeky options, I decided not to risk it in the end.
Yeah, I know as much as everybody else, so, you know, I saw what happened. I'm obviously very worried for him, and as is everybody else, and, you know, I know he's not fit to drive for us right now. As far as I know, he's working super hard to return to the sport, and, yeah, I wish him well.
Well, there's a lot of talk about what happens if Devon doesn't return. Would Connor Sport be looking for a new driver, do you think?
And as we discussed earlier, we're not really meant to be talking about this, so we're going to just say that's a question for Casper.
That sounds like a question for Casper. I know they need to plan for every situation. That's just the nature of the sport, but you know, if those discussions are happening, I'm definitely not involved with that.
Well, thank you for chatting with us. Great to have your time.
You know, they talked about signing a new driver being a gamble, but if the reserve driver's only going to be finishing 19th in every race, is signing a new driver that much of a gamble? Like, what is there to lose? Anyway, let's have a little read of this thingy. With the Spanish Grand Prix in the books, Connor Sport set their sights on securing their driver lineup for the remainder of the 2023 season. And now we once again are back at Team HQ as Casper Ackerman. So, what here? Connor Sport, telephone call. Straight away, of course.
Hey, Casper, you wanted to speak to me?
Yes, I did.
Shoot.
Nothing major, really. To be honest, I just wanted to thank you.
Oh. What for? I'm, you know, just doing my job.
No, it's more than that. Well, I know why you stayed on the team. And, well, I won't lie to you, it's not been easy.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Yeah, but you really stepped up. It's good for me to know that I've got someone like you to rely on.
Always.
Yeah. Look, Aiden, I'll warn you, things may not get any easier, at least not for a while, but, well, we've got something in the pipeline, a potential new driver, and a damn good one.
Who is it?
I can't say, not yet. It's a bit of a gamble, but if they agree, we could have something special.
Nice. And, how is Devon?
Fine. I think... I'm not sure. I mean, Davidoff has closed the door on that one, but... Yeah, he tells me Devon is in a good place, though.
Oh, that's good, that's good.
Just keep doing what you're doing, okay? And now, just get out of here.
Of course. I'll catch you later, Casper.
Okay. Well. Says he wants to talk and then says get out of here. I guess that's probably very Casper, to be fair. But anyway. Yeah, Connor Sport's replacement. A new driver in time for Azerbaijan? Let's hope so, because Noah Bell won't be winning any prizes. This is what one race fan had to say. Noah Bell looked distinctly dodgy out there today. New signing then? So, you know. Yeah. Anyway, on to emails. We have 3 of them. Firstly, one from Davidoff, who's still not entirely convinced about Callie, and is still being his demanding self. We've got an email from Andrea Connor that confirms that Devon Butler will not be returning for the remainder of the season, though we still don't really have any updates on how he's going at the moment. Alright, and we have one more email from Andrea O'Connor regarding Davidoff and the decision to sign Callie Mayer. Goodness me. Apparently he's flip-flopping like a fish out of water on that decision. He cannot decide whether it's a great decision or whether it's a risk. But anyway, the whole family concern, you can already tell that's going to bubble over at some point in the future. And that is just about going to do it for this one. We have one more department event to go through. Live commentary, me will discuss that one, and then one final cutscene to watch, and then we'll end off the video there. But from me, that is all. So I will say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Feel free to give me some feedback in the comments. It is always very helpful. And other than that, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye. Aiden has been approached to help promote an F1 sim racing event. So Aiden Jackson's been approached to promote an F1 esports event, and he agreed to it without consulting the team first. So we can agree and send him along, or decline, say no, he can't go, or compromise and say he can do it via video and keep his commitments back at the factory as well. But we're going to agree and say he can get away with it this time. But yeah, we'll go with that option.
Why are you hesitating? And you've always dreamt of racing in F1.
Not like this. Do you know what he did?
Oh, your father?
He refused to support me. Said he'd only fund one of his children. Said Devon had better prospects.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that.
Mum used the divorce settlement to help me out, but... And you're only here because he sent you.
No. This was my idea, my decision. And this is me asking you, Callie, not your father. We need a replacement, and I ask for you because I know how good you are. And that's the truth.
I always said I'd do it on my terms, not his.
I'll look out for you. Just like I did in F2.
Will you keep him away from me?
I'll do everything in my power. Everything. To make sure that all you have to think about is driving. Have we got a deal? You might never get this opportunity again. You know that.